Hey guys, this is James.
This is Denny from TeaDB, and with us today we have Crimson Lotus Tea.
I'm Glen.
This is Lamu.
And brought you guys back on after an amazing trip and third marriage.
Yeah, we've been married 3 times now.
Yeah, twice in US.
Yeah, we had a huge Tibetan wedding in Kunming, Yunnan. That was really awesome. I was dressed like Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
So we have some delicious show in Pu'erh to drink today, and also some cool yixing that we'll sort of, I think, splice in on the edits to show you guys. Let's just dive right into it. So, do you guys want to talk about the yixing that you guys brought back and maybe the trip a little bit? And
yeah. So we spent the last basically the last 3 months living in Yunnan, living in Yunnan, traveling around Yunnan, going to as many tea growing areas as we had time. We got a chance to go to Jianshui twice. Jianshui has really amazing clayware that's native to Yunnan, which is kind of unique. A lot of it looks very similar to this. It has a very polished look. There's not a very high sand content in there, so they can take polishing stones and sandpaper and get a really nice exterior, which gives the impression of being glazed when it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really dense clay.
Very dense and 5 different colors.
They have 5 different colors of clay. So if you see like the designs and stuff that are on them, that's not glaze or paint. It's actually been carved out in the dried clay, and then different colors of clay are pushed into there to create those patterns. For myself, I like the connection that the Jianshui pottery has to the areas where Pu'erh tea is grown specifically. Mm-hmm. A lot of the same like mountains and soil are connected with the clay that this tea is made of.
Yeah, and also when we are walking on the Jianshui town, lots of people, the tea factory is right behind them, so the whole family are working on the tea pots themselves.
Yeah.
So it's very impressive.
Yeah, this town has literally created a name for themselves, making teaware that they didn't have 20 years ago. And it's very possible for a young family to just get some clay, hike into the mountains, make it themselves, build their own kiln in their backyard, and do their own stuff. And then if it becomes successful, they have a little shop. I mean, there's a lot of people that have really made a name for themselves in this town, which is really cool to see.
And this is kind of a recent trend, is that correct?
Yes,
within the last
like
10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And how has kind of like the performance been of these? Like, because you've messed around with yixing a lot too. So.
I was really impressed the first time I put a show Pu'erh through there, because I had been working with the same Pu'erh through Gaiwan and in yixing, and it had a definite mineral quality to it that I thought was unique.
Yeah, it adds lots of good quality.
Yeah. In this these Jianshui teapots aren't. It's arguable in the business what teas they're best for. I don't think they're as good for lighter teas, not always like the Sheng Pu'erhs, unless the pot is open really big on the top and it allows more oxygen to come through. It is the porosity of the clay is a little denser, but for darker teas, darker oolongs, show Pu'erhs, I think it's really awesome. So we're going to try and work with that for the tea that we have.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Today.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, and I misspoke. So this is a clay teapot, but it's not from yixing. It's from Jianshui.
Right, I know. That's the thing. It's like the term yixing has become so synonymous with clayware that I find myself making the same mistake as well. So I've started to try and use the word clayware and then subdivide it when needed if I know exactly where it's from.
So this is a much newer kind of market in a lot of ways. It
really is.
Yeah. Newer industry and a newer market.
They live
in an old area.
Yeah, and a lot of the clay that they have is still. I mean, you can go up to the mountains and hike up there and see the clay reserves themselves.
Some people do. Yeah.
They are using the clay at an astounding rate. I was quite surprised. So it's very possible that in another 20 years, this stuff will be that they just won't have those clay reserves anymore. So. This is a town that definitely knew the value of what they sold, and it was not possible to buy things for cheap prices or negotiate in any respect. This tea is a blend from Bulang, 2008, show Pu'erh. It's been processed by the Yunnan Tea Factory.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce that right?
Yunnan Tea Factory, which is like 2 kilometers away from Monghai County. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the better known show Pu'erhs in the world is from the Monghai factory, and their claim is that it's good because it uses the water from the Monghai area, which has a natural bacteria that they feel works better when they're making show Pu'erh.
Yeah, when they do the water. The
So,
temperature in the water.
A lot of the factories that want to make good quality show Pu'erh try to make them all in the Monghai area, and Bulang's about 2 to 3 hours away from that area, so it's still pretty close. So they would have harvested these trees, these leaves from the farmers, and then brought them into
Factory.
their factory to have it made into show Pu'erh.
Very cool. So how did it feel to press your first cakes?
It was really awesome. So, and we'll be able to try some of that in the
Later,
the next episode. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah. So we bought we visited six different mountains, and we bought 10 different types of leaf from the 6 different mountains that we visited. And so next episode we have some nice stuff from
we saw some
Shan.
by ourselves.
Sounds great.
Compressed by ourselves.
And that was pretty awesome. You know, getting to go into the factory, and 100-gram cakes are kind of hard to press, and it's not something that a lot of people want to help out with because
Right.
it takes a lot of time. So
Right.
we found a factory that was pretty open, let us participate and help out in the experience, which was certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
great. I'm wildly jealous. I need to get married.
What is it? Go
You just need to get married.
Yeah, just period. That's an excuse to go press my own tea cakes.
to the honeymoon.
Sure.
To Yunnan.
So wow, look at how much darker that is already.
Yeah, really quick. So these are Imperial Grade leaves. So it's pretty. It's all made from tiny little buds.
Buds.
You can see that from the loose
Yeah.
pictures that you took. I'm just gonna dump this one out too.
The brew very dark.
Brew's really dark, really
And very
fast,
thick.
Yeah.
very thick,
Very,
Very
the
viscous.
first 3, brew,
and but then it after like 5. I mean, it's actually fairly generous, but after like 5 or 6. 5 or 6 steepings, it starts to get like nice and light and mellow, and it brings out this like really delicate, smooth sweetness. It's actually probably one of the sweeter Pu'erhs I had. But if you're familiar with any of the Shang Pu'erhs from the Bulang area, it's got a noticeable like spice and bitterness
Very
to
aggressive.
it. It's really aggressive.
Like
And there's
Lao Banjiang or Mang'e, they're all in the Bulang area.
Yeah.
They're famous for very aggressive tea, astringents and bitterness.
So you get little hints of that. You'll get little hints of like that Bulang astringency in the back of this, but it's really sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time in the place where we stayed in Kunming. Is really close to the 2 biggest tea markets in Kunming. You've got Kangla and Jinsha. Jinsha, did I say that right?
Correct.
Pretty close. And these places they're like small towns. I mean, like 3 or 4 city blocks, 4 stories tall. They keep building it taller. Actually, they were making it higher, and in like row after row and alley after alley of just tea shops, almost all exclusively Pu'erh. And
Wow.
so we just spent days and days and days just walking through these
Explore,
markets and
talk to
exploring and
people.
talking to the farmers.
Sounds great. Wow. Well, that is just like
Yeah.
black as.
Yeah.
And that's part of one of the qualities that really drew me to it is really early on it gets like that nice like thick dark black
Yeah, Glen
coffee.
really like it because he found it's very similar than with the coffee. Yeah.
Almost a syrupy thickness. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Lamu likes it a little lighter and sweeter, and
Yeah.
so after a couple brews, that's her favorite
Yeah.
favorite spot.
Perfect.
There we go.
Sir?
For sure.
Thank you.
Smells wonderful. Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow.
Cheers.
It's already very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can feel a little bit of it, like on the side of your tongue and the back of your throat. A little bit of that, like pinching. That's reminiscent of the astringency.
Yeah, actually, I could. Yeah. Almost a little tanniny, but not quite.
And this is pretty much my go-to daily brew now. And the whole time when I was in, when we were on the trip, we picked up a little. Well, actually, what's really awesome is like it doesn't matter where you go in China, there will be tea brewing equipment there in the hotels. We even had like a little portable brewer ourselves. But then we were like stuck in traffic and we ran out of water. And
on the highway, we'll be waiting like 20 minutes. Then we noticed a farmer carry tons of hot water. Charge us like 1 yuan.
Carrying this hot water down the highway, just handing it out to whoever needed it in traffic. It was like,
that's amazing. That's a tea culture integration right there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do our second steeping here.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so you guys were saying that there's sort of like 5 really good, thick, viscous steepings of this tea, and then it gets a little lighter, a little sweeter. How long would you guys session this? Would it just be sort of an all day, just continuously?
You can drink it all day.
Long,
Yeah. It just continues to get sweeter. I've never really found an end to it.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. All right, well, cheers.
Denny, how would you say this would compare with kind of like your normal everyday ribs that you have?
I'm thinking about that right now. Actually, good question. So, this has much less of a woody, earthy taste. Actually, I get a lot more sweetness. It tastes kind of like, this is not a dig at all, but it tastes kind of like pleasantly mild. But it's very full-bodied and very round, is what I would call it. Just like a very slow, gradual, long taste. So I'm really enjoying it. It's not nearly as woody as I would normally get out of a show brewer.
Yeah, it doesn't have some of those similar qualities. You're right.
What about you, James? What are you thinking?
I've come to realize while drinking this that I haven't had Pu'erh in about 3 months, so I'm having a hard time placing it. But
Okay.
I definitely agree with kind of what Glen was talking about. I can definitely taste some of that kind of like aggressiveness and like, which is kind of rare for a Pu'erh. You're much more used to kind of like tasting that in like Munghai Tea Factory raw Pu'erh or like Bulang or Banjong or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I get kind of a really lovely spice.
Oh yeah?
Peppery spice that, as you were talking, James, was hitting my mouth. And that, for me, is really interesting. And that's also sort of, I think, in line with kind of the aggressive taste that you get.
Kind of got like a longer aftertaste.
Definitely, yeah. Really, really full, lasting, quite lovely.
So what are you drinking for Pu'erh these days?
I've actually been drinking small tuos from
Shagwan.
2007.
There's the French
they're
export ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they go way too fast at this point. I need to get more.
I love the Shaoguan stuff.
Yeah.
I really do. A really soft spot in my heart for pretty much anything they do. I got a chance to visit their factory, and it smells like heaven. I mean, it really, really does. We walked in, it was just, you're just kind of like enveloped in this like Sheng Pu'erh aroma that's just delightful.
Sounds
really
great.
delightful.
I'm so jealous. And I think maybe if you guys could talk quickly about the kind of scale of these factories. You almost described it as a campus.
So Shaoguan is huge. So first of all, like the term factory is really, really widely used in China, and it can mean anything from like 3 people in their backyard to something like the size of Microsoft campus, right? And it's still all the same term, factory.
Right.
In the West, like factory really kind of like implies like thick smokestacks,
Right.
you know, like heavy industry. But it's a really broad term in China. But take for example Shaoguan, probably the size of 3 or 4 city blocks, maybe 12 big, like 4 or 5 story tall, like actual like factory buildings.
Wow.
Very specifically situated right next to the Shaoguan Mountains that they're named after. They're specifically situated so that the whole factory takes advantage of the winds that come down off of the mountain. They really feel that that is what gives them their specific edge in the Pu'erh industry. All of their aging takes place in places that have nice access to this wind flow off of the Shaoguan Mountains.
Sounds great. Interesting.
But yeah, being able to watch them press their iron cakes. I think I described it as like a steampunk symphony, like all these machines, like chunk to chunk, and people pushing things in, chunk to chunk to chunk to chunk.
Yeah, and they are also very famous by blending tea. Like they have
Right.
like 7 years storage. Somebody gonna blend them, and yeah.
Yeah, that's what they. That's how they get their. I mean, because they press tea year round,
Right.
every day, every week, and they press all the same stuff, and so their blenders are sitting up there with the last 7 years of stock, like individually, like that day for that pressing, working on creating the Shaoguan flavor, so that they can create something that's a unique flavor outside of 1 year's pressing, tasting different than the last year.
Fascinating. Cool. Well, and so maybe to wrap, if folks wanted to learn more about you guys,
Yes.
they know about TeaDB, but if they want to learn more about picking up maybe some of the great stuff that you guys brought back, or trying some of this tea, what would you guys recommend? What's the best way?
CrimsonLotusTea.com. That's what it is. Yeah, the tea that we're selling here comes in 250 gram cakes. It's only $30, which really isn't
that's
that
very
bad for
affordable.
what it is.
Cool. Yeah, fantastic. And maybe like an email address would be good.
CrimsonLotusTea@gmail.com.
Cool.
That's what we're going.
Perfect. All right. Well, what do we have next?
Yeah. Next is going to be a Baiyingshan Heitan.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time.
Ciao.